This whole campaign showed that fans of LGBT media are tired of having their characters die over and over and over again. It happens so many times. Hi, welcome to Fudanshi, where I share LGBTQ and BL media through news, reviews, and good conversation. My name is Devin Jackson Randall, and today is Monday, which means it's time for a random talk. Last week, I talked about the BL trope of the sudden death ending, and I thought, why don't I talk about the LGBTQ side of that? These two media, while they have definitely very different audiences, we definitely have a lot of common because at the end of the day, they're about LGBTQ and queer people. Now, some of you, of course, might be thinking, well, of course, Devin, characters die all the time, LGBTQ or otherwise. Why is this such a big deal? And I would like to argue that that's because the pool of LGBTQ characters is still so small. Late last year, around November, GLAAD came out with a study showing the different statistics involving LGBT representation in American television and streaming. They ended up coming up with the numbers that there are about 142 LGBT characters in American television and streaming. And then the expected numbers for next year show that there are supposed to be about 895 characters coming into this new season. And out of that, there are only 43 characters that are actually going to be LGBTQ. This ends up being about 4.8%. So that's to say that you have about 5% of characters out of all programming here. And then what happens if you constantly have characters in that percentile dying over and over and over and over and over again? You know, and this is the largest that percentage has ever been. This is the largest that it's been in all television programming history. One example of the deaths of these characters can really do to us. There was the tsunami of LGBT characters deserve better that happened last year. What happened was that there was the TV show called The 100. This is another American TV show. This time it's a sci-fi post-apocalyptic story where the Earth has been desecrated by war, nuclear explosion, things like that, which is very on point for the news of what's happening in the world today. And so the last remaining humans, as they thought, were up into a space station to live there for years later. And then many years later, 100 teenagers were sent down into the Earth to see if they could repopulate the world. They were like the first colony or so. And that's where the title, The 100, comes from. Turns out there were still humans in there, native people. So the female leader of this 100, as well as the female leader of one of the tribes in the human planet colonies, actually ended up in a relationship, and they called this Klexa. And then the showrunner of The 100 very much promoted this couple as a mainstay of the TV show. They had commercials about them. He promoted them on social media. It's very much an example of queerbait. They were pushing this idea of LGBT-ness to get the LGBT community invested in the couple. But what happened was that the character who played Lexa, the warrior, the tribal leader, ended up having to leave so that she could then go be a part of the spin-off for The Walking Dead. The showrunner ended up actually killing off Lexa. This did not go over well. Fans of LGBT media, as well as fans of The 100, got together on Twitter and just had a tsunami of responses. There was a whole Twitter campaign that lasted for multiple days, saying how they were not okay with a showrunner who had promoted this LGBT-ness and then ended up baiting them. We're not okay with the multiple deaths that have been happening with LGBT characters. This whole campaign showed that fans of LGBT media are tired of having their characters die over and over and over again. It happens so many times. For instance, there's actually an article on Autostraddle of the 175 lesbian and bisexual female characters on TV that have died and how they died. That is a number that has been increasing since that article was created. I think it started off as like 70-something characters, and has since then, in that year, actually added up to 175 and counting. There are multiple studies and now names for these tropes, the bury your gays and the dead lesbian tropes of these characters constantly dying over and over and over again. This is all to say that this is not a trope that just pertains to the sudden death ending, though these multiple tropes all have different kind of looks and forms and characteristics and descriptions and all that. They all are ultimately about the fact that LGBT characters die constantly in all media that they are in. And that is just depressing. That's depressing at the end of the day, that we have these different names, we have these different looks, but they're all the same. LGBT characters are dying in media, constantly and always. Why? This video was created and focused on the what of LGBT fans deserve better, the what of LGBT characters dying constantly. But I want to talk about the why with you guys. So let's get in the comments below and talk about our thoughts on these dying characters, on all these tropes, as well as why we think they're happening. And let's get talking. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and to subscribe if you haven't already. Queer Fudanshi tries to share LGBTQ and BL media through news, reviews, and good conversations like this. So let's get talking. Bye. By the way, I promise you next week's video's topic will be much lighter.